Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is my Vlogmas advent calendar type of thing, and we have only a couple of days to go. Today is the 23rd of December and we are almost at Christmas Day. I'm very sorry for the lighting situation. I tried to film when outside is actually bright, but as it happens, you can see from my behind, the sun is actually hitting. I tried to pull the curtains, make this situation a little bit better, but it is what it is. So I hope you don't mind, and yeah, at the same time, if you do mind, turn off the video and just listen to my very rough voice today. I don't know what's going on. I really hope it's not cold coming up. But yeah, and I probably do need another cup of coffee. So do grab yours, grab your project, and let's talk about another of my family's traditions over Christmas, which is actually the Christmas dinner. We spoke about a lot of things during this month together. We spoke about baking. We spoke about traditional costumes, we spoke about knitting, activities that we do over Christmas, and today, of course, we need to dedicate a couple of minutes to describe what's like a Christmas dinner or a Christmas lunch in the north side of Italy where I'm from. So, as per our own little tradition, let's go back there. And it's finally Christmas Day. We opened our presents last night because, of course, in Venice, in northern Italy, you do celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve more than the day of Christmas, but of course the day of Christmas is full with meanings, is full with lovely food, with love and people coming together. So we are waking up first thing in the mornings, having this huge, massive breakfast. You do have very small breakfasts in Italy, as you probably may be aware, just a coffee, a cappuccino or an espresso and a tiny little pastry. On Christmas Day, at least in my family, it's different. We do have all sorts of food left from the dinner of the night before, such as cake, panettone, pandoros, pastries of any sorts, and of course we have some specific bakes. That could be the Christmas log, which is a sort of a Swiss roll, if you're familiar with that. It's a cake that has been rolled up, filled with cream and seasonal fruit, maybe apple, maybe pear, maybe chestnut as well, and then covered in chocolate to resemble a bark, and filled with like a little teeny tiny mushrooms made out of meringue or cream or other decorations, some pine branches to decorate as well, as to remind you a little bit of a log of wood, and we call it the Christmas log. I don't know if it's a thing only there or abroad. I haven't seen it here in Ireland, but it's quite popular, quite mainstream. Big brands as well tend now to produce this Christmas log in factories, so you can buy it at a supermarket very, very easy. So we have that. We have, of course, a giant pot of coffee, as per usual, otherwise we don't function as Italian without coffee. And then the morning is spent going and attending the daily mass and going meeting your friends and family. For the morning, have an aperitivo in the local square and then come back for lunch. So lunch over Christmas is something that I don't quite like because it's very long. There's a lot of servings, a lot of courses, and it's low and long, and especially if you are with people that you may not like all year round, and you are bound to sit to a very long table with them all day. It's very annoying. And if you remember, I said before that we have this tradition of going skiing after lunch, and that is my favorite moment of the entire lunch. But we're not talking about my interaction with my family member, we're talking about food today. So, as you're aware, Italian lunch is composed by a sort of entree, it's called antipasti. Is a first course and a second course. Then we have, of course, some sides and dessert at the end. There isn't a sort of a main course as in restaurants over here, but we do split the lunch in different, very small courses, very small, different courses, let's say, until the dessert at the end. So the entree, the traditional antipasti for Christmas, at least once again in my family, is an array of a couple of things. Vegetables, we have here boiled cauliflower, boiled cabbage, and boiled potato, which doesn't sound really nice, but the amount of butter that my grandmother and my mom put in those boiled vegetables is just absolutely amazing. Then we have, of course, some ham and some prosciutto, some salami, and usually these are produced by my family. We keep pigs, and my grandfather and my dad produce our own cured meat, if you wish. And of course, then we have the fresh side, which will be some sort of fish, will be probably herring, will be any blue fish that is local in the lagoon, and I always leave that on the side. I really don't like fish that much, and I absolutely despise mixing fish and what you call it, and ham or salami. So that is our entree, and of course sometimes you get some cheese with that, you get some fresh salad, and it depends what my family comes up with. Together with this, we have a sort of a slide between main courses, between first course and entree, which is called vitello tonnato. It's basically roast beef that is cut very, very thinly and is spread with a sauce made with mayonnaise and canned tuna. I know that it sounds disgusting. I know that I don't like it, but talking about, hearing from other people, that's absolutely delicious. So this sauce made with mayonnaise, tuna, I think there are some capers as well, or olives in this kind of thing, this spread makes the roast beef to become really, really juicy and really tasty, because it's quite salty as well. It's always made the night before or a couple of days before, so it needs to cure in the fridge for a while. Between the antipasti and the main course, usually there is a sort of a palate cleanser type of thing. It's called sgroppino, which is a combination of lemon ice cream and prosecco wine, or tiny bit of vodka, and that just helps to clean your palate and get hungry again for the first course. Of course, children don't have prosecco or vodka at all, so in my family we do make that with lemon ice cream and a tiny bit of milk, just to make children to feel they are like adult drinking sgroppino, but it's just a thing. The first course is absolutely my favorite, not just for the taste of it, but as well for the work that is involved in the day before. It's usually divided in a couple of things. We do have mandatory homemade lasagna, which over there is called pasticcio. Pasticcio literally means a mess. So lasagna is made from absolute scratch a couple of days before, and it's my favorite part because with my granny, my mom, and when she was alive, my great grandmother, it was a lot of pasta making situation going on. We make the pasta sheets, we make the ragu. So the kitchen was actually very full of people enjoying and chatting and pasta making, and I absolutely love that. The lasagna is usually made with a ragu di carne, which means a bolognese sauce, I suppose you call that, although it's absolutely wrong. Made with mincemeat and tomatoes and onions and carrots and celery and bay leaves. Is there anything else? Well, you're probably familiar with the bolognese sauce. It hurts my heart every time I say bolognese sauce, by the way. It is ragu. That is part of the first course. Then, of course, being very close to the mountain, being very close to the woods, we have some sort of game pasta sauce, and usually is tagliatelle with boar's ragu, which are absolutely delicious. And then the mandatory risotto with asparagus or radicchio, which is a type of chicory that is specific to my town. And that's it. My grandmother serves this either in three small, quite sizable actually, pieces on the same plate, or as three different courses. It depends from the filling and how many people there are there. But it's a substantial plate, and it's only the first course. And to tell you how I absolutely despise all of this because it's so long. First course is gone. We have another sgroppino just to clean your palate, and usually here is the longest pose. People go outside to play with the snow, or children play with their just received toys. And yeah, it's just a kind of a break from the big eating. Go for a walk and make some space for the second course. Second course is usually a combination of meat and fish. I was thinking what would be the traditional second course over there. Well, we don't really have much, to be honest. It's just whatever my mother feels or whatever the kitchen feels like. We would have a sort of roast meat or pork. That is kind of the main thing. A sort of roast meat or chicken as well. A sort of a roast poultry, so it could be chicken, could be pheasant, could be turkey. And then we have almost or usually salted trout. So the way you cook the salted trout is quite interesting. You take the trout, you clean it well, and layer on a baking tray, I suppose, cover with some herbs, a couple of onions to the inside, a nice bit of olive oil, a slice of lemon. And then I have seen stacking rock salt on the top of the trout, like a layer of a couple of centimeters of rock salt, a substantial layer, and then in the oven for an hour. That's the way that I have seen the trout being done there, and I've tried it with other fish like salmon, and that works very well. So once they are cooked, you take off the salt as a big block basically, and the trout comes out beautifully tender, juicy, and not salty at all, unexpectedly. So there's usually this combination of a couple of meats. One is pork or beef, and the other one is a poultry and a trout or salmon if they want to be fancy. On the side we do have peas, we do have mashed potatoes, we do have fries. General sides that you have in every meal or dinner everywhere in the world, I would say. And that thing that is called insalata russa, a Russian salad, is basically a mix of pickled onion, carrots, celery, what else? Parsnips, I think, cucumber, all pickled thing, shredded very, very thinly, and combined with a bit of mayonnaise, a bit of capers. That, I don't know how it tastes like, I don't like it, but it's a sort of a coleslaw made with pickles. That is kind of an accompaniment to it with the meat or the fish as well. That's the second course. Another sgroppino, and then we go into the cakes. The cakes are usually served with coffee alongside with the coffee, and the cakes is generally one of the traditional Venetian cakes, so a fugassa or a strudel. There's usually some pandoro and some panettone on the table as well. And living in the city where tiramisu was born, my family, of course, has a recipe for a tiramisu that was sent through the generations, and I still have that. I can't share it, otherwise they kill me. But we do have either a full tiramisu or only the tiramisu cream with the pandoro, the panettone. You basically take a bowl of cream and you dunk your pandoro into that and you eat it. It's absolutely gorgeous and delicious, but it's a lot of calories, I suppose. And at the end, after the panettone, after the cakes and the coffee, we do have amaro. Amaro is an alcoholic beverage made with herbs, and it's usually made in the family. Every family has their own recipe, but nowadays you can buy that online as well, or in the shops. Bog standards amaro. It's a very, very bitter. The word amaro itself means bitter. And it should help to put down what you ate and to feel a little better. In many cases I've seen it makes you feel actually worse and sleepy, but it's a thing over there. Anyway, I spoke for way too long about dinners and I'm even getting hungry. So I will see you tomorrow with our final episode. Bye bye!